Good morning, everybody. So I'm sorry that I'm not going to be in there today, but I wanted to make sure that you didn't really lose any momentum. So I made this video. We are going to be talking more specifically about composition. So just a reminder, composition is about the arrangement or the organization of all of the visual elements in an image. Good artists, good creators, good communicators arrange their images purposefully to promote specific ideas or to draw our attention to specific elements that they want to show off. They use composition to communicate. That is a really, really important thing that good artists, good photographers, good anybody who's using a visual medium is trying to do. But what does composition do more specifically? Well, it helps to highlight specific elements within the piece. It emphasizes them. And that allows us to understand that certain ideas or feelings or concepts or themes are also emphasized and important. Composition also helps us create mood. By looking at the way something's organized, it can often create a very distinct atmosphere that will inform the way we interpret that image. And then finally, it helps us understand relationships. The way an image is organized, we see what one thing means to another, what is more important than something else, and how the connections between those images are developed. A really important concept relating to composition is focal point. This is a term that you guys should be using a lot this year. So a focal point is the area or areas within a scene that we really need to pay attention to, that the artist or creator wants us to notice. In most cases, the focal points include what we would consider the main subject, what the painting or photograph is about. Generally, every single work of art is going to have at least one focal point, although there are many styles that might avoid focal points, even though they're guiding your eye towards certain places. But how are focal points made? There are a few different techniques. Now, these are really useful because sometimes we might be looking at a piece and say, oh, I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. Well, there are some things that we can use to help us understand where we should be focusing our attention. The first is contrast. So if there's a significant difference in something like color or value, light and dark, size, any significant difference between one element and the rest in the piece, that means that artist is trying to emphasize that element and draw our eye to it. That is contrast. There's also isolation. Okay, in this, you're separating one element of the image from the other elements to tell us that we need to look at this isolated thing. It is separate, it is different, we need to pay attention to it. There's also placement. So human beings are funny in that our eye is usually drawn to the center of a shape. That's just kind of the way we work. If we see a shape, our eye is usually drawn to the center of it. However, if all paintings and photographs and every other piece of graphic art had their main focal point be in the center of the piece, it would be incredibly mind-numbingly boring. So we always have to be thinking about, okay, where is that placement that seems most significant, most distinct? Oftentimes, artists will put their subjects just slightly off center in order to create a more interesting image. But you have to be thinking, okay, where is the placement that seems most significant here? Generally, it's going to start from the middle and maybe move somewhere around there. Other times, it won't be there. And then finally, convergence. So this goes along with the idea of movement. Composition often creates movement within a piece, right? And that movement is created by lines that draw our attention. So the artists use these shapes, these lines or colors, and they guide our eye toward the focal point of the piece. So if we look at this image right here, we see all of these lines, as in like the street, the sidewalk, the shapes of the buildings, are all drawing our eye. They're all moving towards this figure right there in the distance. We know that that's our focal point because that's where all of our convergence is leading our eyes. Now, you're going to want to make sure you begin learning words to describe composition. Here are some basic ones that you can use for a lot of different pieces to describe what you're seeing in an articulate way. So you've got symmetrical, asymmetrical, cohesive, exaggerated, distorted, natural, unnatural, chaotic, balanced, top-heavy, as in something is like a lot of the action is at the top of the piece. You could also do bottom-heavy, unified, harmonious, flowing, continuous, as in it seems like it just keeps going and going and going, orderly, parallel, horizontal, vertical, still, swirling, contrasting, organic, flat, geometric. I put contrasting a second time because I'm a fool. Sprawling, tight, and emphasized. Again, these are just some words to describe elements of composition. These are a good place to start, but as we keep going, you should become more and more precise in the way you describe what you see. All right, guys. So from here, you can go ahead and do a little bit of analytical work about composition in the classroom. Have a great day. I will see you guys soon.